AI won't replace you, but a person using AI will.
The expectation from companies of how productive you have to be is going to continue to go up.
What are the three major tools?
There's a lot of expectation from AI agents today that is not 100% true.
If you have ever asked yourself, how do I stay relevant in the age of AI? This is the podcast for you. Today, we are joined by Mr. Saptarshi Nath, the CEO of Airboxr, a company that's shaping a new category of employees, the AI-enabled professionals. With Airboxr, Saptarshi is helping teams across 40 countries to automate their workflows and uncover revenue-driven growth insights without writing a single piece of code. In this episode, we will unpack what an AI-enabled professional really looks like. Also joining me is my co-host, Mr. Akshay Raj, CEO of Uno Labs. Welcome to Data and AI Exchange.
Thanks, Pratik. Welcome,
Hi, Pratik.
Saptarshi.
Thank you, Pratik. Akshay, thank you for having me.
So, Saptarshi, my first question is: for this podcast, can I call you Saps?
Yes, I go by Saps, so I prefer that you call me Saps.
Great. So, Saps, I'll just dive right in. Okay. Um, we have all heard about that recent viral quote, right? That AI won't replace you, but a person using AI will. So, what exactly does an AI-enabled employee, or simply, if I can put, an employee using AI tools really looks like in today's workplace?
True. I think it is quite like I've heard this a lot of times that hey, AI won't replace you. Somebody using AI will replace you, but that has been true forever for every single piece of technology out there, right? I do think that there is a real chance of certain roles being diminished or just going away altogether. We still don't know which ones they are, but the way that an employee or a team member can help themselves best is by adopting it instead of fighting against the use of AI. I think today everyone needs to know when to use and when not to use AI. In my before I started Airboxr, I used to work with this VC firm that was very focused on deep tech founders out of Singapore, and they had been doing AI for a long time before it suddenly became popular with OpenAI and ChatGPT. And I think there's a big disconnect between how people think AI works and what it can be used for versus what it can actually be used for. AI and LLMs are not exactly the same thing. I mean, they are the same thing in the sense LLMs are a type of AI, but when people talk about AI, they talk about doing a lot of things that AI, especially LLMs today, can't really do. And as an AI-enabled employee, I think you have to understand what it is suitable for, what it is not suitable for. You should use AI to do your daily work, especially around research, structuring your thinking, anything around, languages, right? Like putting together, let's say your manager has asked you to put together a presentation. How do you structure the presentation? What kind of research should go into the presentation? AI is amazing for that. On the other hand, if your manager has given you 20 GB worth of data and then asks you to analyze it, then you should be very skeptical about how you use AI. And a good AI-enabled employee should be able to know when to use what.
Okay, that's kind of, I would say, not the norm these days. If you look out at what the content is going on and what the discussions are going on any social media platform, LinkedIn, on anywhere, even in the closed door meetings, that's not what I think people really say, right? That's
Absolutely
everybody
true. Absolutely
wants.
true. Like, remember, it used to be a few years ago that, hey, I saw this on Google, so this must be true. The same thing is happening with ChatGPT. Hey, ChatGPT or Grok or whatever told me this, so it must be true. Like, hey, did you click on the citation of the citation that ChatGPT provided to check if it's actually true? Most people haven't done that. right? And it's just becoming like gospel that if ChatGPT told me this, it must be correct, uh, which is okay for decisions that don't have a lot of risk to it. But if you're going to be making, say, an investment of $50,000 based on what ChatGPT is telling you, you better do more than just believing it outright, right? And you should be looking at the citations and see if their reasoning is correct.
Okay, I think that's a good advice, but I think at the same time most people won't do it, right? And they would believe and they would want AI to do each and everything, even if it is
Yeah,
not possible. And that's actually happening, Saps, right,
correct.
around us, right? But I was reading somewhere there are some realistic stories as well, right? At Microsoft, early adopters of GitHub Copilot wrote code 55% faster. Now, I'm not sure if the code that was written 55% faster was pushed to production, how much time that took. I don't know that.
Yeah,
But the report says that they took 55%, they wrote the code 55% faster. So, if you see, what I understand from what you said is that AI is evolving into a work partner through several AI tools. It's not like a
correct,
competition for an employee. So
correct.
how is the role? So in such scenario, how is the role of an employee evolving with the rising number of AI tools?
Right. And I should also explain what you just said, right? Yes, AI can write great code, but the quality of output is only as good as the quality of input, right? Now, if you're an engineer, you're probably asking it to write code in the way that engineers could, and it would write pretty decent code then. If you have never done engineering before and you ask it to, hey, create me a dashboard that does this, this, and this, it will definitely create you a dashboard, but it will not do half the things that you told it to do, right? So it makes, as an employee, if you're a marketer, it's going to make you a lot better marketer. If you are a marketer, it is not going to make you a better finance person. So because you don't know exactly, you don't know the basics of when to catch a fault, when to how to ask it a question, and so on. And therefore, when it comes to adoption of tools, there's just way too many tools out there, and a lot of them pretty much do the same thing, right? So if you want to look at a no-code builder using AI, there's probably 6 out there that are popular. There are probably hundreds of such tools out there that we don't even know about, right? I think if you're just getting started, the best thing to do is just stick to ChatGPT or Perplexity or Anthropic, Claude, and use it as a thought partner to begin with. Right? So don't just dump data
Yeah.
on it and ask it to do something for you. Use it as a way to brainstorm with a somewhat intelligent intern at best, right, in the initial days. Now, as you evolve, you will know how to ask a question, how to ask more probing questions, and then it will feel like you're not talking to an intern anymore. You're talking to someone with 2 to 5 years of experience. I'd say if you're just getting started, it's best to stick with the ones that are building the models, and their models are getting better with time anyway. And then graduate to using other tools that can help you automate. I was just playing around with one called N8N. That has done a good job of incorporating AI into creating those automations, but I think it's way too advanced for most people. And if you're just starting out, there's no point in going after that just yet.
I just want to ask you, as you speak about, tools and all. So, what are the, three tasks, in your view that every employee should stop doing manually, right? In the era of, 2025.
I'd say for the most part, use it for research, getting yourself up to speed on whatever task it is that you're trying to do, right? For example, if you're trying to build a financial model, or if you're trying to design an operations inventorying model or some such, then use AI not to build the model for you directly, but to help you understand how to build the model. Right? On the content side, for example, if you're writing an article on they literally what we're talking about, right? If you're writing an article on how employees can adopt AI, ask that to ChatGPT, see what comes back, right? So a lot of the research, I think, is where internally our team has been helped with a lot. When we used to create content, we do a lot of content creation, but when we used to do content creation earlier, we spent majority of our time just researching the stuff, right? And then maybe 20% of the time writing the actual article or article or blog post or such. Now it is more the opposite. We use ChatGPT and Perplexity for the research, and that what used to take 8 hours before probably takes less than an hour now. So you get to structure your thoughts a lot faster. So that is the baseline today. You have to start with that, keeping in mind that you should check the citations, because a lot of the times it will just make up stuff that is not true. The other thing that I've seen, and especially if you are in design and video creation, content creation that is beyond just text and words, I think you should try out Midjourney or Google Gemini to really understand how you can fast track your work. Unfortunately, I see a lot of creative people push back against AI. A lot of them think, hey, we're like, the AI is coming for our job. But I don't think that is true. I think it's going to make you a lot faster, because the people who are like, the novelty factor will wear off for people who are not in design, who are not in video creation today, right? Your head of marketing or your CFO is not going to go in and use prompts to design ads and video. It's still going to be you, but instead of you spending 10 hours doing this, maybe you can spend 2 hours doing this.
Exactly, exactly. See, at Uno Labs, we also do hell lots of research, because at Uno Labs, apart from into data and AI consulting, we are also into the product side. So we also do some certain research, but at the same time, well said, right? That we should not be totally dependent upon this Perplexity, Claude, Grok or ChatGPT. We should also be doing our own research, right? Because sometimes the data, whatsoever been presented, are not from the right source. So definitely, well said that we should be using these tools, but at the same time, we should also be researching our big side as well, about the source of the data being faced. So, going back, to my next question, Saps, uh, can you just give me, real-time world examples, right, where AI-enabled employees, right, resulted in boosted productivity?
Yeah, like let me give you examples from the two things I told you about right now, right? One is definitely research. What used to take us 10 hours of research before, today takes maybe 45 minutes, an hour. And without that, I think to keep up with the amount of content we create, I would have had to hire one or two additional people, right? And or outsource to an agency to help us get to this quantity and quality bar faster. But now we don't need to do that. The other thing that I see, especially within e-com, because we work with a lot of e-commerce companies, is just media content for ads. Earlier, it used to be that only the really big companies could do professional-looking video ads, but today you won't even realize that these videos created by really small companies are actually AI generated, because they look absolutely like a real video, right? Especially with what Google's done with its newest VO3 model. You can't differentiate between, if you're prompting well, you can't differentiate between VO3 and the real camera work. So I think those two are the areas that we were going to see for at least the next year or two a lot of innovation in. And there's a platform called replicate.com. If you haven't tried it out, I 100% suggest that you should try it out. It gives you access to a lot of models that other people have already created. And you can use, like, there's data models, sound models, music models, video models and such, and you only pay for like whatever you create, right? So there's no monthly subscription. And if you are like interested enough to go out and see what's out there, instead of trying to research every single platform and tool and subscribing to each one separately, just go on to Replicate, try out all the models. If you like something really well, then you can go and subscribe to the, to the actual tool. But Replicate has been really helpful in our experimentation. When it comes to text content, though, it's just simpler to go and use Perplexity and ChatGPT.
So we will just keep it noted. And thanks for figuring out all those tools.
Thank you, Saps. That was a good insight, but we'll come back to that in detail. When you were talking about how AI tools can help, employees, I was also thinking, what about AI agents? Because if you see, even in an agentic world, there is hardly any manual intervention, right? Agent will do everything for you. As of now, what we see in theory, right? What do you say about that? Because if there is no manual intervention, then whatever we are talking about, the manual intervention, using tools or relying on AI completely, that goes out the window, right?
That is true. And I think for the most part, there's a lot of expectation from AI agents today that is not 100% true. Since it has been oversold because hey, companies need to raise money, but it has also been oversold to companies themselves. And for smaller companies like us, I think it's okay to go ahead and experiment. But for bigger enterprises, those doing like $1 billion enterprises, $1 billion or more in revenue, for them, the stakes are so high that you can't really expect them to hand over running the company to an AI agent. But there are very, very micro use cases that I think will win over. For instance, right? Let's say your AI agent does an analysis of how many days of inventory you have for a specific product and tells you, hey, you're running out of this product in 3 days' time. You need to reorder right now. And then you click a button and reorder it right now from within the system. Now, that is a great use of AI agents because it is telling you what you need to do, and then you're sort of verifying it, right? You're verifying it and then acting upon it, but it's also making the acting upon it part a lot easier. That way, I think AI agents are not going to be such that, hey, this is my AI agent for all of marketing, or this is my AI agent for all of finance. I think we're still further away from that. And a lot of times, if you look at how businesses and organizations work, I doubt that we will be at a point where the entire company is being run by AI agents, unless it is a company that started for the sole purpose of running as an AI agent, right? So I don't think that is going to have the extreme impact of removing all employees and therefore requiring us to build something like universal basic income and such. Like basic income is fine, but if you're not doing anything from day to night, like all day all night, then what is that basic income for, right? And yeah, so I'm very gung-ho about AI agents in very specific verticals, but not in the way that they are being pushed today as being a horizontal solution for every problem ever.
Saps, I like that you're not being very diplomatic about AI agents, and you're actually calling out for what it is. So that's great. Actually, last week we had a conversation with another leader from the market, and it was about AI agents. He said almost the same thing, right? Coming back to what our conversation is, I was reading a paper from Stanford AI Lab, which mentioned that AI is not a skill; it's a behavior change. Employees must move from task execution to prompt thinking and workflow design. What There's definitely a mind shift required, right, to work with AI tools. So, what do you think is required to thrive as a the mind shift required to thrive as a AI-enabled professional?
That's I think they're true to an extent, and that's true for it's not something that is special to AI. I think that kind of mind shift change has was required with Web 2.0 as well, right? Uh, like, I remember when I was growing up, you were expected to remember everything important, right? Like who's the president of X, or who invented Y. Now, like I now if you can Google, like, and then the generation of Google came, right? So you didn't need to remember everything because you could just Google it. And today it's like you don't need to Google it, even you don't need to even Google it, because you can just ask whichever AI model that you want to ask, right? So it is anyway a mind shift, I think. It is a behavior shift as well, but it is no different from any other technological adoption curve.
Okay, thank you, sir. Um, but talking about this technological shift, right? Do you think there will be a clear divide between employees who adapt versus those who don't? Maybe in performance, maybe in productivity, and it will be clearly visible. Is it?
Yes.
And moreover, is it already happening now?
I think it's not quite happening just yet. But I do think, I mean, there will be a divide in the sense that people who don't adopt AI won't have jobs. And therefore, the only people remaining 5 years from now will be people who have adopted AI into their existing workflows. Uh, I think I think the only way to work moving forward is to work with AI as your partner, not as a you versus AI angle. And companies, or sorry, individual employees that are not adopting I think will be eventually filtered out. And the faster that existing employees realize that, the better it is, because until like maybe 4 or 5 years ago, people were expecting more productivity, right? And more productivity meant improving your processes, spending more hours. And today, thankfully, it no longer means more processes, more hours. Today, you could be more like 10x more productive with the same amount of time you're spending, or maybe even less. And the expectation from companies of how productive you have to be is going to continue to go up. And the only way you can continue to be that productive is if you adopt AI in the way it's meant to be as well.
Just tell me one thing, right? That, with this particular AI thing, right? Is the hiring process going to change? That companies now will hire more on based on AI tool proficiency over digital experience?
Yes, I definitely think so, and some of it is already happening. Um, in fact, I think hiring will actually slow down. Um, More recently, I saw the Shopify president, Harley Finkelstein. Right? He's instructed, or I mean, they have instructed their managers that before you hire anyone new, you have to justify why you want to hire people and why it can't be done by AI, or why can't your existing employees do this using AI. And I think that is, like, he said it out loud, but I think everybody else is also thinking it, like, hey, can we do more with the amount of people we have already? And so the immediate impact it will have on hiring is that there will be less of it. Next thing, I think there's going to be a larger amount of skepticism with applications, right? If you look at this company called Cluely, right? The way that they have positioned themselves is, hey, our AI agent or whatever will help you cheat on interviews, right? Or it will give you hints to help you do interviews better. And I've seen a lot of the times that people are now just using ChatGPT to apply to hundreds of jobs, whereas before they would have to think and apply to 10 jobs, right? So the quality of how you answer your the initial set of questions on a job application, it is like, if you know how to catch AI generated responses, you will know that this has been AI generated. So there's a lot of skepticism from hiring managers and employers around, hey, like who do we hire, right? So that is there. And then the next phase, I think, is going to be during the interview process itself. During the interview process itself, it's going to be more rigorous. A lot of hiring is going to be based on culture, so they will want to meet you in person, or have 4 rounds of interviews with different people in the team instead of just having 1 round and you getting an offer, right? And most companies will be able to afford that because they no longer need to hire 10 people when hiring just 2 people is going to be enough.
Yeah, rightly said. And thank you. It will be really helpful for the young generations and for everyone. To just get prepared for the next round of interviews. So thank you, Saps. And Saps, you briefly talked about AI tools, tasks, and everything. So just to be very concise, will you be able to help us out, right? What are the three major tools, right, which each and everyone should be focusing on, should be learning towards it. So can you just keep your give your views on the three AI tools?
And I think for the most part, ChatGPT and Perplexity are my go-to tools, and they're literally the same thing. But in certain cases, ChatGPT is better. In certain cases, Perplexity is better. Uh, at the very least, people should be using that. If you're in marketing or you're a designer, then you should definitely check out Midjourney and Google Gemini. And if you want to, like, if you are a little bit more advanced and you've already worked with tools like Zapier and make.com, then you should also look at na10, which is a bit more AI agentic version of Zapier. uh, and a personal plug, if you're in e-commerce and you want to understand data, then you should check out Airboxr, which is our agent really understands data and e-commerce, and therefore is able to provide you with insights that more of our AI agent is more of a consultant than a data analyst. And like I said before, one of our main one of the wrong ways to use AI tools right now is to use it for data analysis. And we've kept away from that. Even though we are a data analysis company, we've kept away from that just because we don't want to be right 80% of the times when you're working with data, right? But yeah, mainly those three types of tools you should start with. At the very least, start incorporating ChatGPT into your daily work.
Slightly different. My view is, I've been using notebook LM, right, and I found it more there the research and everything is bigger. From my perspective, right, I found it more bigger than Perplexity. What's in your view? Have you used notebook
Um,
LM?
I've only used it once or twice. It's not really part of my daily work. And I think it depends a lot on how you ask the questions. And I think when I was trying to use Notebook LM, I didn't see too much difference. And that might be uh, based on how I was prompting both of them. Um, I do think there are specialist use cases for different products, and you should definitely try out all of them. Like my developers, they usually use Claude for coding. They prefer that over ChatGPT and Perplexity. My content guys, they use Perplexity more than ChatGPT. uh, I prefer to use Perplexity only for summarizing stuff, whereas I use ChatGPT for more research. So it depends on what your use case is and what you are more comfortable with. Um, and also every week, they're releasing something new. Like their models are
Yes.
becoming better, they're becoming cheaper. So when I used Notebook LM 2 months ago, I'm sure it's a lot different today than it used to be 2 months ago.
Will you please help us out, right? Like, how to enhance our writing prompt skills? Because
And
that is the main thing, right? The prompt is not right, we will not be able to get the right result, right? And then we'll blame the complete, complete, application, that this application is completely worse, because I am not able to get the, the right result, right? So to enhance the prompt skills, how you will suggest, our audience, how to enhance that this particular skill set?
right. There are two tricks to it. I'll tell you the original trick that I use is one, you must always tell it what the AI should be like. What's your personality? Like, are you researching this as a PhD professor? Are you a McKinsey analyst who's looking at this? Are you have you been in e-commerce for 20 years? So tell it first that you are this person. Now do the research. Yes. And the quality of research will be very, very different. The other trick that I am starting to use now is, I mean, when it comes to research, I can still write decent prompts, but when it comes to, say, um, designing an AI generated video, I don't know much about video design, creating videos. So my prompts are not that great, right? So I just write my not that great prompt into ChatGPT and ask it to write it as a visual designer, and then it just rewrites the entire prompt, and then I copy and paste it into whatever tool I'm using to create my video. So sometimes you can just use the AI to generate a better prompt if you don't know how. For areas where you do know how, then it's better to tell it that you're not an intern, you're something else. You advise 200 companies around the world. So now suddenly the AI knows that, okay, I'm supposed to give advice which is reflective of someone who advises 200 companies around the world.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Saps. It really helps a lot, right? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Saps. I think that was the best skill AI-enabled employee should have, coming from a founder, right?
Yes.
So, Saps, it was a great conversation with you. I have one last question. That Sam Altman once said that the AI-enabled employee is the one who knows what to ask, not just what to do. But I want to ask you, Saps, how would you define an ideal AI-enabled employee of the future?
So actually, this is where I think my formative days working in management consulting was really helpful. Uh, and literally, this was what we went through the first 6 months of training on. And that was literally what Sam Altman said, like asking the right questions is very important. And a lot of times asking the right question basically means asking why 5 times. By the time you ask why 5 times, um, the final answer is pretty obvious for you about what you need to do. uh, I think from the employee perspective, though, yes, it is important to know what questions to ask, but that's something you will just develop with time. It's not something that you need to that eventually everybody in the world will also know what questions to ask, right? I think there's two ways to look at AI adoption. One is, it's going to help you only do what you're already doing, but faster. Right? That's step one. But I think what will set aside AI enabled employees is doing things that they would not have been able to do at all in the first place. Right? And that is where you'll see proper AI enabled employees move up the ladder a lot faster, because they didn't stick to their job description. Right? Their job description said that I'm a marketing analyst. They didn't just use AI to reduce their workday from 8 hours to 6 hours. They used it to become not just a marketing analyst, but maybe data analyst. Maybe they moved into understand revenue and finance and inventory management. So these are all the options that are available to you now. Why would you only do it to make your current job easier and faster?
Thank you, Saps. That was a great insight and a summary of what we discussed today. I think the AI-enabled employees are here to stay. That's the future, and everybody should look at how to become an AI-enabled employee. Thank you. It was a great conversation with you, Saps. Thank you.
Thank you for having me, Pratik. Thank you, Akshay.